there, welcome to another edition of U24 Sports. My name is Jimmy Pizzo, and tonight we shall be looking at again a lot of stories that have been making headlines during the course of the week, and of course we shall also be diving in to what will be happening that is for the weekend in terms of sports, and of course looking at what transpired of the weekend. I mean, during the course of the week we saw that the FIFA big league continued, that is in the Uganda. Here, where a lot of teams were in action. Teams like Black's Power were in action. That was on Thursday. Good results for them. I'll be telling you how it went down that side. But of course, there's also action in the Premier League, Uganda Premier League. I mean, of course, KCCA struggling again. They were at home yesterday, and somewhere things didn't work out well again for them. It was a draw. I'll be telling you, the Villa was also in action, and of course a lot of teams that were in action, that is in the Uganda Premier League. Of course, leaving Uganda Premier League, we shall be diving deep into the world where the World Cup qualifiers for the African teams came to the group stage conclusion. Our very own Uganda Cranes, they were in action. That was against Algeria, and as we expected, though not we expected, but we were beaten. I'll be telling you how it went down. That is in Algeria. Teams that made it to, that is the playoffs, includes teams like Cameroon, Nigeria. I'll be telling you that. And of course, there's a team called Cape Verde. Everyone is excited about Cape Verde. I tell you what, people are saying that Cape Verde qualifying for the World Cup, there are even many reasons for people to be excited. First, they were winning on the pitch, and they were also winning off the pitch. Talk about winning on the pitch, they qualified for the World Cup. Off the pitch, they are buddies. I will tell you something more about that just in a bit. But of course, the Premier League, that is the English Premier League, also will be returning this weekend. Manchester United down at Anfield against Liverpool, one of the biggest game of the weekend. The table leaders, Arsenal, will also be away. That is to their London neighbours. That is Fulham. And of course, Chelsea will also be in action. That is in the English Premier League. More and that will be coming down that side. But of course, also Vipers also will be in action. That is in the CAF Champions League preliminaries, round 2, down at St. Mary's Stadium, that is in Chitende. Our very own Ugandan representative of Vipers will be in action. That is on Sunday at 7 p.m. You better be nowhere, because that is the place to be. That is at St. Mary's Chitende, where Vipers will be in action against the Zambian side, that is Power Dynamos. Should be a very, very good game coming down. But of course, let me dive you deep into what I have today for you. The action that is in the Uganda, in the FIFA big league that went down, results that went through during the course of the week. We saw teams like U24 losing again, but this is how things went down during the course of the week. Katsaka managed to beat Nebi Central by 3-1. Then teams like Bayanguru are doing still very well. They could only draw with that is Chiinda Boys. That game ended 0-0. Karukarunja and Bright Stars ended also 1-1. Iganga United played with Young Elephants, where Iganga United managed to win by 2-1. Wakiso Giants drew with Chigezi Young Boys. 1-1 it was. Cesar beat U24 by 1-0. Paida Black Angels managed to beat, that is Black's Power. The game was played, I think, it was on Sunday, yeah. They managed to win by 1-0, but Black's Power back in action. That was yesterday. They managed to beat Karunje by 2-0. Good results for Black's Power. And of course, with that win, the table looks pretty much clear now. Black's Power move to the top of, that is the FIFA Big League, with about 7 points, having played 4 games. Teams like Bayanguru have only played 3. They have 7 points as well. Katsaka have about 6 points. Iganga United on 4th with about 6 points. Nebi Central, Wakiso Giants, Nchingiza Paida Black Angels number 8 with about 4 points. Mbale Heroes number 9 with 4 points as well. The Young Elephants, Chigezi Own Boys down there. U24, it looks like ever since they came and surprised everyone in the Uganda Premier League, they've been going downward. This looks like there's no coming back for them. Last season, we thought they were going to return back to the Uganda Premier League. That did not happen. This season, again, they are there. But the way they've started, they played already 3 games. They only have 3 points, 1 win, that is for Njuparaka, that is sit 13th, that is in the FOFA Big League table down there. Chinda Boys down, of course. Karukarunji is the one that is bottom. After they played 4, they don't have a lot of points. That is Karukarunji for you there. They only have about 2 points. That is in the FOFA Big League for Uganda. Let's leave FOFA Big League. Let's dive in. The Uganda Premier League action has been going on. Even today we have games, but during the course of the week, Maroons picking up their first win of the season. They managed to beat UPDF by 2-1. It was, that is, in the Uganda Premier League. Villa played with Entebbe UPPC. It ended 1-1. Villa was unable to win that game. They should have won it, of course, but Entebbe UPPC has been very stubborn this season. They're doing pretty well. Talking about being stubborn, this team that is Abaimba, they are really doing very, very well in the Uganda Premier League. They played 3 games. They've won 3. They're beating almost everyone that is in the Uganda Premier League. And I tell you what, they are yet to concede a goal that is in the Uganda Premier League. They continue with that fine run again. They managed to beat Chitara by 1-0. It was. Then KCCA also struggling against Lugazi. It ended just 0-0. There was no goals between KCCA and Lugazi. That game was played at the MTN Omondi Stadium. That was last night. It ended 0-0. KCCA with a lot of chances, but they couldn't bury them. Lugazi standing very tall, and they were very disciplined. That is at their back, denying KCCA what was looking like a win for them. And of course, that is how things went down that side. There is more action today in the Uganda Premier League. We have 2 games on card where Mbara City will be taking on Bull. That game is at 4 p.m. Then at 8, we have URA taking on Express at Nachivuvo at 8 p.m. That's a very good game that you might need to catch down. That's tomorrow. There's one game. NEC will be hosting a Police that is in the Uganda Premier League. If you look at the table for the Uganda Premier League, I told you the newcomers, that is Abaimba, doing pretty well. 3 wins in 3 games. They have about 9 points. They have scored 4 goals and conceded none. That is how good they've been. KCCA moved to second on the table with about 5 points, having played 3 games. Then Entebbe UPPC with about 4 points as well. Police 4 points, having played only 2 games. Bull, they are also on 4 points, having played 2 games. Express now sits 7th. Lugazi 6. Maroons will move up to number 8 with 3 points from 2 games. UPDF, URA still looking for their win. Maybe tonight they'll get it. They sit 10th with only 2 points. NEC with only 1 point from 1 game. And then Villa played 2 games. They only have 1 point. Chitara, they played 2 games as well with 1 point. Mbara City, they played 2. They also have 1 point. That is in the Uganda Premier League. And then, of course, also Vipers yet to play. They have not played any game, so they don't have any point. Then Calvary, they played 2 and they have 0 points. That is in the Uganda Premier League. Let's leave the Uganda Premier League and run through the CAF preliminary rounds. That is 2 for the CAF Champions League, or the Champions League in Africa, where Vipers is representing Uganda. They're the only team now representing Uganda. That is in the continental shop is down that side. They'll be in action. That is this weekend on Sunday. Should be very clear about that at 7 p.m. That is at St. Mary's Stadium in Chitende. The Vipers will be taking on, that is the team from Zambia. They call Power Dynamos. Yeah, should be a very, very good game. Power Dynamos comes in this game with, of course, a bit of momentum, but Vipers at home, we expect them to put in some very good show that will be coming through on Sunday. The news we're getting is that most of the tickets have actually all been sold. People are trying to show a lot of love. That is for Vipers, for the reason that might not be disclosing it a lot, but you know already the saga between Dr. Lawrence Mulwenda and FOFA saying that they don't want to join the league, but that will be coming to amicability. They should be understanding, bury the hatchet. One should bury the hatchet and understand that sometimes you have to make peace and ensure that things move on. I don't know who's going to be burying the hatchet. It will be the FOFA. Just saying, okay, let's leave the format, or Vipers will be saying that, okay, just for the sake, we're coming back and playing. That is in the Uganda Premier League. We shall be waiting to confirm that down that side. Leaving Vipers, and of course, them playing in the CAF Champions League preliminary rounds number 2. on Sunday. Let's cross over to Uganda Cranes, where we were in action. That was in our final 2 games for the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. We had 2 games. We played Botswana and we won that game by 1 goal to nil. Fantastic result. Jude Mugabe scoring that goal there. And then our second game that we needed to win as well to ensure that we be among the best second team in the group. We needed to beat, that is the host, or the team that was leading the group, Algeria. We did not do that. We were beaten 2-1. We started very well, 1-0 at half-time. Steve Mukwala scored a very early goal. It was for Team Uganda Cranes. And I felt like we played very well, especially at half-time. We had a chance. There was a cross that came from the right, I think from Mukwala again. Mugabe just wasted that chance just in front of the goal. And he didn't bury that. And I think, believe me or you, if we had gone 2-0 at half-time, you could think maybe it would be hard for them to come back. But that did not happen. We came back in the second half. Algeria, very composed, very calm, played very well, dominated possession, had chances after chances, and they got their reward. With about 9 minutes to go, they were awarded a penalty that was converted by Mora. Fantastic player. He's actually the top scorer in the qualifier with about 10 goals. As if that was not enough for us, we managed again. Algeria, as if that was not enough for us, Algeria got another penalty. And I tell you what, I don't want to blame the goalkeeper, but could have probably done it in another way, dealt with that cross, could have punched it away, but referee saw a foul that he wanted another penalty, of which in my view, the first penalty was not a penalty. But I'm siding with the referee. Why? Because there were a lot of calls from the Algerian players for a lot of fouls, handballs. Yeah, I think the referee was overwhelmed and the pressure became so much for him. So he had to award that first penalty, which wasn't a penalty. But the second one, you could argue less about it. Goalkeeper committing a foul, and that was a penalty. And goalkeeper Jamal himself got injured, and he had to be replaced by the veteran. That is the 40-year-old Dennis Onyango that came. The first action for him was to pick the ball from the back of the net from that penalty. Amora again scoring goal number 2 for Algeria, and that is how the game ended. Couple of minutes were added, but that is how it went down. That's Uganda Cranes were beaten in that game. It ended, that is a 2-1 in favor of Algeria. That is in the qualifiers for the World Cup. So that means we were unable to make it. To finish second with about 18 points, that is from our group. Algeria are finishing top with 25 points in that game. The teams that managed to make it for the playoff, the 4 teams include Gabon, that finished with 19 points, DR Congo with 16, Cameroon with 15, Nigeria with 15 as well. We remain in 12. Why 12 here? Because of the 6 points that we managed to get against Somalia was chopped off. Most of the teams here, if you see their points, are tallying with what they have in the group, because the 6 points that they got from the bottom team were not counted. That's why here we only have about 12 points. But of course, if you had the 6 in the group, we shall be having 18 points. But those were not enough to take us. That is for the World Cup playoffs. That is the World Cup. Remember, will be hosted in Canada, Mexico, and USA. That is the 2026 World Cup. So, but there's a lot of positivity to pick from Uganda Cranes. We've done, I don't want to say miracles, but we played really very well in that game. A lot of positivities that we should be taking from, that is the Uganda Cranes game. I tell you what, we managed to score goals, something that hasn't really been something that has not been happening so very much for Team Uganda Cranes, despite, of course, the disappointing. A lot of positivity has been realized with the Uganda Cranes that is in the game. First of all, so Uganda scored in all the matches that is in the campaign, with the 4-0 win over Mozambique being one of the biggest that is for Team Uganda. However, only twice did they score more than once in a particular match. The opening, the other being a 2-0 win that is over the team that is Somalia. That was at Mandela National Stadium here in Kampala. But of course, Alan Okello ended the campaign as the Cranes' most contributor to goals, with about 3 goals and 4 assists, which is 50% of all the Uganda Cranes' 14 goals. So a lot of positivities of that you should be taking off. Matt Rogers closely followed with about 3 goals, although he registered no assists in the entire campaign. Besides Okello and Mato, other Cranes goal scorers like Jude Semagaru with 2, Kapadosi, Fahad Baya, Mohamed Shaban with 2, Steve Makwala and Travis Mochiaba were among the people that scored. That is for Team Uganda Cranes. And if we can just carry this momentum, this energy to the African Cup of Nations in December, you never know. We can build up from that. We are hosting the next African Cup of Nations after the one in Morocco. That is in 2027 with our neighbors of Kenya and Tanzania. So if we build this team, most of these players are actually very young. If you look at Okello, you look at Mato, you look at Jude Semagabi, these are players that you can build team around them, and you never know. The defenders, Obita, playing fantastic, and we can actually have this, and you never know. We might be going for the next World Cup. Let's cross over to some of the international games that were played. One of the fixtures that caught my attention was Japan beating Brazil. I think it was the first time, really. It was 3-2 in a game that Brazil was actually leading at 2-0 at half time. Gabriel Martinelli, for the player for Arsenal, was among the players who scored. That is for Brazil. But Japan came back in the second half and scored 3 goals, and that is how it ended down that side. There was a lot of excitement. That is in Brazil. If I tell you what, Paulo Henrique scored the first goal for Brazil. Minamino, remember him, former Liverpool player, Nakamura, has scored the second goal. That is for Japan, and was there ensuring that Japan complete the comeback and win the game by 3-2. It was a memorable night for the Japanese. It was down that side. Argentina, of course, also won their friendly. It was 6-0. That is for the Argentina, the World Cup holders that will be looking to defend that World Cup in USA, Mexico, and Canada. That is down that side. But of course, in the Euros, there were a lot of games that were played. Teams like England managed to win their game. England won by 5 goals. That is 2-0. Against, of course, Lavi, Anthony Gordon, Harry Kane, among the players, Eze, among some of the players that scored there. Italy also managed to win by 3-0. Spain also winning by 4-0. Mikel Merino looks like he's another player when playing for Spain. Unlike when he's playing for Arsenal, 2 goals it was for Mikel Merino, the Spanish midfielder, and the Arsenal midfielder. They are scoring 2 goals on the night. Turkey also beat Georgia by 4-1. Portugal were made to pay for wasting chances in a game that ended 2-2. Cristiano Ronaldo scoring those 2 goals, and of course Dominic Szoboszlai, the Liverpool midfielder, equalizing very late for Hungary. It ended 2-2. That can only mean that Portugal will have to wait until the November break to ensure that they qualify for that is the World Cup 2026 down that side. Let's leave that away. Jump into what is going to be taking place. That is this weekend in the English Premier League, your favorite. There's a lot of action that is coming through this weekend. The biggest is at Anfield, where Liverpool, with all their struggles, be hosting Manchester United. I should say a rejuvenated Manchester United going over, that is to Anfield with a buoyant mood. Their teams, the players with a bit of confidence. Amad Diallo, very good performance with that is Ivory Coast, and of course you would want to carry that in a big game that is at Anfield. Liverpool with some pressure now. Like I told you, they've lost 3 games in a row, and I don't think they would want to lose another game that is against their bitter rival in the name of Manchester United. That is on Sunday. That game is a game that I'm looking forward to watching it, and of course to seeing how the results will be coming through. United is very unpredictable, especially when they're playing the big teams sometimes, leave alone them being whitewashed by Man City through Neil Halley this season. Anfield has not been their good hunting ground. Their last win at Anfield was in 2016. Last season, I think they played a draw at Anfield, but Liverpool making Anfield be their fortress. They would want to win this game, and of course with the pressure that is beginning to mount. At some point, they were sitting about 5 points clear of the on top of the table for the English Premier League. But right now, they find themselves second, 1 point behind Arsenal. And I don't think they would want Arsenal to open up a big gap very, very early in the season. So this game is going to be very tight. I don't know who's going to be winning it, but United come in this game with their players, like I told you. Benjamin Sesko, I think he had his best game in United's red. That is their last game against Sunderland. Fantastic play. Liverpool with the pressure, because you could say also their players been doing very well in the international. Dominic Soboslai scoring, Mo Salah also playing very well for Egypt. So you would think they'll be coming with this form. And of course, talking about Mo Salah, his favorite opponent in the Premier League is Manchester United. He has scored about 13 goals against Manchester United. You'll be thinking that every time he's facing United, it'll be like, okay, I have a goal or two. So Salah always loves scoring against United. Remember that 7-0, that 5-0, that 4-0. So he loves scoring against United so very much. And of course on Sunday, he'll be hoping that he can do that again. That is the Egyptian king, Mohamed Salah. In other fixtures that will be coming, that is in the Premier League, we shall be seeing Chelsea. Who will be taking on, that is Nottingham Forest. Forest have been struggling, not the Forest we saw last season that almost qualified for the Champions League, but this season they've been struggling very much. Chelsea also coming in this game with a morale-boosting win that was over Liverpool. But of course, one problem that Maresca will have to sort his players getting a lot of cards in discipline. Even the coach himself, Maresca, was sent off in the last game, and I think he had been given a one-match ban. That game will also be a very interesting game. It is at exactly at 2:30, that is on Saturday. Another fixtures include Brighton taking on Newcastle, Burnley will be taking on Leeds, Crystal Palace takes on Bournemouth. Crystal Palace only one loss in the season, and of course Bournemouth have been flying with the Ghanaian Semenyo scoring goals for fun. It'll be an interesting fixture to watch. City are playing Everton. Everton has always been a bit of a headache for City, but they come with one man on form, Erling Haaland, scoring goals for fun. He'll be playing against Everton, who also not been conceding so many this season, so that will be a very interesting game that we should be looking up to. City, not a lot of injuries coming in this game. If you could maybe think apart from Anthony Rodri still suffering down that side. And of course, Jack Grealish will not be playing in this game because remember, he's on loan. That is from Manchester City. Wolves takes on Sunderland. Sunderland looking to bounce back from their loss. And another late game, that is at the Craven Cottage, where Fulham will be welcoming the table leaders Arsenal in a game that Mikel Arteta will need to do some changes in that game. Remember, the last time they played Fulham, it was a draw, and of course their results against Fulham has not been very good. The Gunners have only 2 wins in their last 5 games, that is in the Premier League, against Fulham. So you could think that going at Craven Cottage in a place where they have not won in their last 2 games, all have been drawn. Remember, the Fulham actually beat Arsenal last season. The other season it was 2-1 and 1-1 draw. It was last season. So you could think about Fulham trying to capitalize and making history count on them. But of course, this Mikel Arteta's team look very different from the one they've been playing probably last season or the other season. Or they would want to win this and maintain the top spot that is for Arsenal down that side. On Sunday, action will be continuing. That is in the Premier League, where we shall be having Spurs will be taking Aston Villa, a very good game. And of course, the biggest game of the weekend, I told you already, Liverpool and Man United. And on Monday, we have West Ham hosting, that is Brentford. A lot of action in London. West Ham is a London team, Brentford is a London team. And of course, that is how things will be panning out. That is in the English Premier League. No change. Arsenal still on top with about 16 points going into the weekend. Liverpool number 2 with 15 points. Spurs number 3. Bournemouth number 4, Man City number 5, Man United number 10, Burnley number 18, number 19 is West Ham, then 20th is Wolves. We're still looking for their first win. They only have about 2 points. They've played already 7 games, and they have a chance to do that. They're playing a team called Sunderland, which has also been very good. They're sitting 9th, that is on the table. That is for the Premier League this season. Top scorer already before he adds another, if possible, this weekend. Alan with about 9 goals already. Semenyo with 6, and of course Anthony 4, Thiago 4, Ekitike 4, and the list goes on and on and on. That is some of the stories that are making headlines this weekend. When we get back, that is on Monday, I'll be giving you the results of all this action, how it went down, and of course we shall be keeping you posted with any breaking news or any news making headlines. In terms of sports, I've been Jimmy Pizzo, your sports presenter here, and of course when we get back, that is on Monday, I'll run you through the results and of course keep you posted. Remember, Champions League will return And that is on Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah. So if your team is in Champions League, Arsenal, I know they'll be playing Athletic Club de Madrid, a very tricky fixture will be. Man City will be in action, Liverpool will be in action. That is in the Champions League. Spurs will also be in action, Newcastle, to mention but a few. So let's meet on Monday. I give you the results, and of course I give you the stories that will be coming through, or the games that you should be expecting during the course of the week. Jimmy Pizza saying bye-bye. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. See you.